Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. I've missed you guys. There have been so many changes over here at the house in the past 2 weeks. It's the reason why I have not been able to find time to sit down to film videos for you guys. And hopefully in the future I can talk more about the changes that have been happening. But one set of changes that we've been really kind of hard at work at is we've been doing renovations at the house for the past off and on 7 months or so. And as we're nearing the end of it, we were trying to really get the whole place ready for a Christmas party we threw. And the party happened yesterday. It was great, but leading up to that, there were just so many things. Like even just cleaning the house after the renovations was a whole couple of days, just putting things away, making sure all the decorations are up. So yeah, I'm so happy that I'm sitting here now to film this video. We will be looking at the new Tom Ford Extreme Quad Lava Lustre, and I'll be doing some comparisons with other Tom Ford quads I have, as well as cross-brand comparisons. And in the future, I'll talk more about, these changes that have been keeping me really occupied. But I do have more time towards the end of this month because I am taking some time off. I'll be able to put more content here on YouTube and on Instagram. So thank you so much for your patience. Let's get on with the quad. So Tom Ford released, he released one new quad for the Sonia G collection, and then two quads part of the Extreme collection. What I have here is Lava Lustre, basically an ombre, but this part is a mirror. And Lava Lustre comes in a white pouch, much like his Sonia G collection. And although it is the Extreme line, I do think this formula of these shadows are entirely new. So that's pretty exciting. This first became available internationally on Selfridges, and that sold out really quickly. And then Beautylish launched on their website amongst other retailers in the state. That's when I picked it up. Now, along with this Lava Lustre, Beautylish also exclusively, it seems, carry the Metal Lust Extreme Badass Quad, and that is currently sold out on their website, but I will keep my eye on it to get that one as well because it looks really gorgeous. It's described to be matte chocolate browns and multi-chromatic neutrals. I will pop a picture above for you guys to see. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm not sure if these were the same quads that were teased on Tom Ford Instagram, like the makeup account, back in summer or maybe even as early as spring. And I was expecting to see like the whole collection come out, but I think due to delays in production and maybe transport and all of that, we just haven't seen it. And I just don't know if these quads are part of that or we're gonna see a ton of new quads kind of trickle in throughout 2022. So let's go ahead and swatch these beautiful, they seem really chunky. I haven't played around. I also have not looked at other review videos, so this is truly my first experience with the quad. So I've got all four shades on my finger. Eight on the upper left corner, and it does have a, it's gold, but it's quite bronzy and warm, the undertones. Moving to the shade next to it, you see that shift. It's really pretty. It's like a warm bronzy with a bit of a pink-red shift. And then we're moving on to the more pink and red shade. And then finally, this kind of gunmetal-like, very glittery finish from all four, but I would say the most glittery is probably going to be this one. This one is most foil-like, and this is the most glittery. These are kind of in between the two. They're also on the more glittery side if you were to compare it to this gold shade. And I do want to read the description on Beautylish's website to give you a bit more information about the product. These shadows are made in Italy, and the Extreme Badass Eye Quad from Tom Ford presents 4 full coverage multi-chromatic eyeshadows with a uniquely sensorial high-impact finish. This intense array of nuanced and neutral shades offer both color-shifting glitter and classic powder formulas with smooth textures that melt luxuriously onto the skin. Okay, so that makes sense. These are not the kind of wet dry formula that are big gelée. These are powder formula. So why don't I go ahead and demo these shades and let's see what kind of holiday look we're going to be able to create. And I feel like with this festive sweater, it's gonna be, you know, a good match for whatever look we create. Taking the shade here, I'm adding that generously right on top of the lash line. And I'm going to diffuse that upwards. Then going into this red shade here, I'm doing the same thing and just placing that on top of the previous shade I put on. And I'm diffusing that as well. Going into the shade here, I'm using a fluffy brush, basically the brush I used to diffuse the previous two shades, and I'm placing that on top and blending it into the crease. This is the look on the right eye, and as high impact and intense as these shadows can be, and they're multi-chrome and everything like that, I create a very soft look. It's holiday appropriate because of the, you know, glittery shade, this one here, that I placed on top and onto the crease. But you could, I think, comfortably wear this during the daytime as well. You know, it could go light on the glitter look, but really just use these shades here. I'm gonna try out the gold on the left eye and kind of create a look centered around this. I'm gonna add the gold shade all over the left eye. Then I'm gonna go in with a pinky and apply this onto the center of the lid. Then I'm just going to diffuse that center shade further on each side of the lid. Then going in with a pencil shaped brush. This is Sonia G's Pro Eye Set, the Pencil Pro. I'm tapping into the red shade here, and I'm placing some of that on the outer corner. And then going in with a small brush here, this flat definer from Sonia G's Sky Eye Set, I'm dipping it into the glittery shade and placing some of that onto the inner corner. All right, I'm going to now finish the rest of my makeup, then we'll come back to talk about these shadows and then start doing the comparisons. For blush, I used Hourglass's Ambient Lighting Edit Palette in Universe and combined these two shades. And for bronzer and light contour, I use this one here today. For lips, because I'm in the mood for something bright and festive, we're gonna go with Lisa Eldridge's True Velvet Matte Lipstick in the shade Carnival. I'm first going to line my lips with the Lisa Eldridge Lip Enhance Pencil in the same shade. For comparison, I'm going to first start with Visear's Petit Pro palette because these four shades here in tone remind me of three shades from the Tom Ford Quad. While these are not, you know, multi-chrome or multicolor, I think just the tone itself, I'm interested to know how they compare. There is a multi-chrome on this palette, which is the shade here. I will swatch that as well, even though, you know, we know they're gonna look quite different. So these are the four shades from Viseart, and I know just from looking at it like this, they're going to be brighter than Tom Ford. But I still think tone-wise, there are notable similarities. I think the biggest difference is going to be that, you know, these are not shifting. They don't have a particularly, you know, glittery finished, and when I move them like this, you can see that these are, not that they're not beautiful, they're just flatter in comparison. These are metallics, and these are kind of a little bit glittery. They're glittery in finish, but it's just not the same level. But I do think there are some definite similarities there, just the tones themselves. So moving on to that multi-chrome shade from Viseart. And this is gorgeous. This is a really beautiful multi-chrome. Look at that. Shift. That purple and pink. Really beautiful. The way I use it is pop it onto the center of the lid. And in fact, I think the shade could really play nicely with the lip that I have on today. I have from Natasha Denona her Trio Chrome shades. These three here from the Trio Chrome palette. And these are her multi-chrome, so I think they'd be most appropriate for comparisons. And we know, like right away, the tones are not going to be similar, but I think it's interesting to compare the quality and how they shift in comparison. I'm going to go back into the last shade here, which is Color Flip, because I want to even this out and, you know, make it look like it's a complete swatch. And the Natasha Denona Trio Chromes are not glittery, actually, compared to these. They're really, you know, metallic and foil-like, and they do have a very obvious and notable shift. Whereas in comparison, the shifts here in the Tom Ford shades they're more subtle, and I think they rely definitely on that glitter to give you the movement and reflective quality. So very, very different from each other. And then moving on to Pat McGrath, her Celestial Odyssey palette. There are a few shades here that I think have some shift quality to them. So let's swatch those. Let me see what the shade names are. I just don't remember these off the top of my head. All right, this shade here is Bronze Nova. Yes, I would say Bronze Nova has a similar quality to these shadows, but it is more pigmented than Tom Ford and less glittery. Then we have Citrine Envy. Citrine Envy is similar to Bronze Nova. Again, more pigmented, more intense, and a little bit less glittery than Tom Ford. And then finally we have Heavenly Body here. And I think Heavenly Body is in the same kind of texture and finish as these other two. Out of the three though, Citrine Envy is the one that is most, the shift is most intense and noticeable. It's actually one of my favorite shades from this palette, but Heavenly Body is gorgeous as well. So there you have it. These are all the comparisons. And lastly, let's do some comparisons with other Tom Ford quads. What I have here is from last year, Soleil Neige First Frost. I'm interested to see how this compares to the others. I'm gonna swatch it right here. And this is more of a metallic shade with a bit of a glittery finish, and the shift is not quite like any of these. I do think it complements the look. I think you can combine this if you wanted something lighter to go with these warmer shades. And then taking another extreme quad that I have from Tom Ford. This was released last year. This is Mercurial. Don't think we're going to find anything similar. This is the wet dry formula. It also does not have the shift, the multi-chrome like Lava Lustre, but we'll do a comparison anyway. I think I'll take this shade here. Yeah, you can kind of see. I'll swatch that right here. Much more subtle. And with the wet dry formula, as the name implies, you can wet your brush, add some water moisture to it to get a more intense payoff. The payoff, as a result, you get a more foil-like application, but it isn't glittery. They're not going to be glittery like these. And I call this a wet dry formula, even though this is supposed to be, you know, the extreme formula. But at the time when this came out, we really had a hard time telling the difference between the shadows of formulation from this extreme quad versus, you know, the regular line wet dry formula. And in fact, on top of that, the shades of these quads can be found on, well, parts of them anyway, can be found on 3 other different existing Tom Ford quad. And I have Honeymoon. There are 2 shades. These 2 shades are very similar to what's on Honeymoon. In fact, I think one of them might be almost exactly the same. Like, I could not tell with the naked eye. So there you have it. I think all in all, the Lava Lustre is a great release from Tom Ford because there really isn't anything in his collection that is even similar to Lava Lustre, both in the formulation and just how the shades, the finish of the shades, they're multi-chrome, they're glittery, and then if you're interested in these shadows, but you're like, well, it doesn't seem like I can wear this during the day because it's so intense. I hope that the demonstration, you know, I was able to kind of show you that these can be applied fairly lightly. You don't even have to hold back that much. I use normal pressure with my brush. I really went in with my pinky for that middle shade here, and it's just easy to use. I think you get a light, beautiful payoff, and these are good quality shadows. I really don't have any issues with them in terms of maybe payoff being too light. As for glitter fallout, I think the glittery shade is where some people might have some issue with this one here. The other ones, I'm looking right now in my vanity mirror, and there's really, you know, not much going on. I've had this for about, at this time, like 20-25 minutes or so. Yeah. No fallout here, but the glittery shade, I do see a little bit. So that's just something to be aware of. Let me know below what you think of this quad. Obviously, I am not early with my review, so I'm sure some of you guys have this and have been using this. I'm very interested in Metal Lust, and I hope it gets restocked soon enough. I'll see you guys soon in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.